Bcom semester 1, Economics chapter 2. So guys, we already have discussed some of the points from your chapter 2. Now we will move further. But before starting the new point, we will revise all the topics, that is what we have already discussed. First of all, we have seen introduction, economic activity. We also have seen the difference between economic and non-economic activities. Then, guys, we have seen characteristics of economic activities. After that, we were at forms of economic activities. Under that, we have discussed consumption, production, exchange. Then we also have discussed scope of economic activities. Under the scope of economic activities, we have seen economic activities of individuals, firms, government. Then, guys, we were also discussing about goods and services. Under that, we have seen material and non-material goods, free goods and economic goods. Then, yes, consumers goods and producers goods. After that, private goods and public goods, transferable goods and non-transferable goods. So guys, we have discussed till this, and now we will discuss the next point, that is wealth. So, wealth is a very common word, and all of us might have heard this word at least once. What does it means? Generally, we know that wealth means the property or the riches that we are having. So, is the wealth all about properties or something else? So, guys, there is a different meaning in economics that what is wealth. So, let's see. In ordinary language, the term wealth is used in the sense of property or riches, but in economics, however, it is used in a different sense. Here we have the definition from the Marshall of the wealth. According to Marshall, wealth consists of all those goods and services which possess utility, scarcity, transferability, and which can be appropriated. So, wealth can be all the goods and services which has such characteristics. What is that characteristics? All the goods and services which has utility, scarcity, transferability of ownership. So all such thing by having by the goods and services can be considered as the wealth. So guys, here there are some other definitions too. Then we will look at that. Thus all the materials and non-material services, goods and services included in wealth. Professor Tosing regards all economic goods as wealth, while according to Professor Jan Keynes, wealth consists of all potentially exchangeable means of satisfying human needs. In short, anything which possesses value in exchange is wealth. So here we need to understand some of the words, that what is value in exchange and about the satisfaction of human wants. So it is anything which can satisfy the human wants, consider it as a wealth, but it must have the utility, it must have scarcity, it must have transferability, and it must have an external to the man. So all these four characteristics that must be there in the wealth, which is considered as a wealth. So it is anything which has such characteristics can be considered as a wealth. Now we have four different characteristics, and by this way we can understand that to which or to whom can we consider it as a wealth. So we will see, first of all, it is anything which has some utility. Utility means the satisfaction. If we use that goods or services, we must have got some satisfaction from it. So anything that has utility is also can be considered as a wealth. But not only the utility, there are three other characteristics which are also there in the goods or services. Then and then we can consider these particular goods or services as a wealth. So any wealth must have utility, means the satisfaction that we use when we consume it. The second thing is it must have scarce, means we also use air, sunlight, and air and sunlight also have the utility, because when we use air or sunlight we get satisfaction. So utility is also there, but it has no scarcity. Air and sunlight has, we can say it has unlimited supply, so there is no scarcity of air and sunlight. So we cannot consider air and sunlight into the wealth, because whatever the wealth is, not only the utility but along with the utility it must have scarcity, transferability, and external to man. So the second characteristics of any wealth is to have scarcity. Now the third thing, it must be transferable. Transferable means here we are focusing on the transferability of ownership, means whatever the wealth is, it must have utility, scarcity, and also can be transferred from one person to another person, can be the transfer of ownership to one person to another person, means we can sell it or we can buy it. So all such thing which has utility, scarcity, and transferability, along with these three, there must have external to man. External to man means there are certain things which are internal to man, like voice and all such things, such skills, dance skills. So all such things are considered into the internal to man, but whatever the goods and services are must possess utility, scarcity, transferability, and it must be external to man. Then we can consider such particular goods and services under the wealth. We can say yes, this is wealth because it possesses utility, scarcity, transferability, and external to man. So guys, this is what all about the characteristics of wealth. Now we will move further. Here we have the classification of wealth. We will look into it one by one. The first one is personal wealth or individual wealth. Both are common. Personal wealth or individual wealth. What does it mean? It means it consists of all those material and immaterial goods like land, building, money, furniture, jewelry, stock, shares, all such things, whether it is a material good or immaterial good, which an individual possesses, which an individual owns. For example, I am owning a house. It can be considered as a personal wealth. It is my personal wealth because I own that house. That house is of mine. So all such things, whether it is a building, whether it is a money, whether it is a furniture, jewelry, stock, shares, if anything among them or all the things is possessed or we can say owned by an individual person, can be considered as a personal wealth. Now the second thing is social wealth or collective wealth. It refers to those goods which are owned by public authorities like government, local bodies. These are public properties held by society in public interest. For example, roads, railways, public building, public park, museum, etc. are known as collective or social wealth. Means it is open for all. Anybody of the country's citizen can use those particular goods or the services, which can be considered as a social wealth. Now we will move further to our next point, that is national wealth. What is national wealth? Means it is a summation of individual wealth and social wealth in the country. The total individual wealth and social wealth can be considered as a national. We can say it is a national wealth because it is all the wealth available in the country can be known as national wealth, whether it is a individual wealth or the social wealth. Now we have the fourth point here. We need to see the difference between wealth and income. Now, what is the difference between wealth and income? Let's see. Wealth is a fund or we can say stock of resources or assets owned by an individual or a community out of which the income occurs or is paid. Wealth is a source of resources or we can say fund or assets, whatever it is. And by using the wealth, If we occurs money or income in return, then we can say that this is wealth and the income is different thing. Thus, income is a flow of utility or satisfaction derived from wealth per unit of time, say for per week, per month, or per year. Income as such is regarded as flow from the fund of wealth. Means, guys, if we are having a wealth, when we use that wealth, when we buy, or we can say when we sell those particular wealth and we will get income from it, then we can say it is a flow means whether it is outflow or the inflow, whether we get the income or we need to pay the income. But what is the difference between that? Wealth is just, we can say, the stock of resources. By using that resources we get earning. So both the things are different. So the one is wealth, and then the other is income. Now we also need to see the difference between wealth and money. So what does it mean? What does the wealth, how does the wealth and money differs? Let's see, guys. Money is simply a commodity and form only a part of entire stock of wealth. It is representative of wealth. Means whatever the wealth we are having, if I have a house, I own a building, I own something else, I can represent my wealth in the monetary form. So that money is just a representative of wealth. Money is just a representative of wealth. I can show my wealth in monetary form. I can say I have a wealth or wealth worth rupees 5 crore. So what is 5 crore? 5 crore is money, but it's just useful to show the amount of wealth I have. So money is just a representative of wealth. And the different and the other thing that we also need to focus on, that is money can be the wealth. If I have a money worth, I have money, for example, I have 5 crore rupees. Then 5 crore rupees can also be the we can also consider the 5 crore rupees into the wealth. We can say that I have a wealth of 5 crore rupees. So money can be the wealth, but all the wealth cannot be said as a money. So because in we can say wealth have different forms. Either it is in the form of money, either it is in the form of land, it may be in the form of building, it may be in the form of something else. So money is a wealth, but we cannot say all the wealth are considered in the money. We can convert the wealth into the money, but we cannot say that all the wealth that has uh, I have is money. No, wealth is different thing. Money is also a part of wealth. So this is how the wealth and money differs from each other. Now we also need to see wealth and welfare. Now what is the difference between wealth and welfare? So guys, here we need to see that wealth is a thing which can we can use the wealth to satisfy our needs, by whether it is as a resource, or we can use directly, or whatever the thing is. But what is welfare? Welfare means when we consume the things, when we use the things, and when we satisfy our needs by using or consumption of the things, we get welfare. Let's see, guys. Wealth and welfare are closely related to each other, but they are not identical. It is generally held that wealth promotes human welfare. People derive satisfaction and welfare from the consumption of various goods and services. By using various goods and services, we will satisfy our needs. And by satisfying our needs, we can say we will get the welfare. Increase in wealth leads to increase in welfare. And as the wealth increases, our satisfaction will also be increased and our welfare will also be increased. So both the things are closely interlinked. Both the things are closely interlinked. By using the wealth directly or indirectly, when we satisfy our needs, we have got the welfare. Now we will see, here are some of the points. What are they? Let's see. The use to which wealth is put and the way in which wealth is distributed. So here are some of the things we will see one by one. Nature of the wealth produces. Nature of the wealth produces means increase in the production of such articles such as food grains, milk, clothing, bicycles, radios, television sets, watches promotes human welfare. If we produce such things which are useful to the human being, then we can say it promotes human welfare. But if we produce the things like, we can say, alcoholic product, liquors, obscene books, obscene films, etc. If we produce such kind of things by using the wealth we are having, then we cannot say it promotes human welfare. So it is also a very important thing that whatever the wealth we are having, if we use them properly, then it will promote the welfare. Now the second thing, manner of wealth produce. Now what is it? If the increase in the production of wealth is brought about by exploitation of labor, greater suffering and sacrifice, it does not lead to general increase in the welfare of the society. Now when we start exploitation of the labors, what does it mean? What does the exploitation mean? If we have a wealth and we want to use the wealth by to produce something, if I have wealth of land, I have wealth of money, and if I want to do the business, I will use my land, I will use my money, I will buy machineries, all such kind of wealth I have. And to produce something, and to sell in the market, I need manpower, so I will hire a labor from the market. Now if I start exploitation of the labor, means I order them to work more hours and I will pay a very less amount to them as a salary or as a wages. I am not ready to pay enough wages to that laborers. I exploit them, I use them very extraordinary, and in return I am not ready to give them enough wages for what they are working. Then I can say I just exploit the laborers. So by this way, whatever the wealth I have, how much the wealth I have, but by doing such thing I am not promoting the welfare of the society. Now the third thing is the use of which wealth is put. Now what is it? Products on a paper, if products on a paper, if used in the publication of the obscene book, does not lead to welfare. Whatever the production I do, if I if whatever the production I have done is not the good thing for the people, if by using such thing, if I will harm the people, then I cannot say I promotes the welfare. And the last thing is distribution of wealth. Increase in wealth, if not distributed in a fair and just manner, does not promote welfare of the society. Equal distribution of wealth by and large leads an increase in the welfare. So it is also very important that whatever the wealth in the country is, whatever the national wealth is, it must be distributed equally to the each and every citizen of the country. Then and then we can say it promotes the welfare. So in this point, in this point, we can understand that how the wealth and welfare is different. Okay, guys. So this is what the wealth and the welfare is. Now we will move further and see value and price. What is the difference between value and price? What is value? What is price? Can we say price is must be in a monetary form? We can say it is 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, 2000 rupees. So price must be in a monetary form. But what does the value mean? Value means what? Value means if I have something, and I can say if I have a packet of biscuit, I have a pack of biscuit, and by exchanging this pack of biscuit to get something, if I exchange, if I give my pack of biscuit to someone to get the thing he has, then I can say how much value the pack of biscuit has by getting how much quantity of thing from him. Suppose I have a pen, and if I exchange those pen to get something, to get pencil in return, if I give one pen and I get three pencils, then I can say the pen has a value of three pencils. So this is how the price and value differs. Value is something which has some quantity in return, but price is little different thing. Price must be in a monetary form. It conveys us the message that how much rupee we need to pay to get something. So price is a thing which is in the monetary form, but value is a different thing. Now let's see. The term value may be used in two senses: value in use, value in exchange. We were discussing value in exchange. Value in use indicates utility and usefulness which a commodity possesses, for instance, air, water, furniture, fountain pen, etc. There are two different things. The one is value in use, the other is value in exchange. Now, what is value in use? Value in use means how much satisfaction we get by using a particular good, or we can say a particular services. This can be considered as a value in use. But what does the value in exchange means? Value in exchange means whatever the good I have, when I give it to someone, when I exchange, when I get something in return by exchanging the thing I have, then I can say how much thing I have got by exchanging my particular thing. We can say the value of that thing is have such kind of values. So we can say it is a value in exchange. Let's understand it further. We have read here, have great value in use per individual. Value in exchange, on other hand, refers to the power or capacity of a commodity to command other things in exchange. Thus the term value in exchange expresses the relationship between two things or commodities at a particular place and time. Here, in simple terms, value of goods or services is a quantity of other goods or services which can be obtained in exchange. What thing I can obtain by exchanging my thing? This can be considered as a value in exchange. So all these things convey the meaning of value of a particular thing. Let's read further. If a fountain pen is exchanged, if a fountain pen is exchanged for 10 pencils, the value of one fountain pen will be 10 pencils. Value thus is a ratio. We can say one fountain pen, 10 pencils, two fountain pen, 20 pencils, three fountain pen, 30 pencils. So it is a ratio. Now, here we will read further. That is, it measures the purchasing power of a commodity in terms of other commodities. In economics, the term value is used mainly in the sense of value in exchange, not in value in use. So we also have discussed what is value in exchange. Now, here are some of the examples which conveys the same meaning as we also have discussed. Now we will see the value is expressed in terms of money. It is called price. As I already told you guys, the value is expressed in terms of money. It is called price. Price is the money measurement of the value of commodity in terms of another commodity. For example, the price of book may be rupees 75, or the price of 1 kilogram of sugar is say for rupees 15, and so on. So price is a monetary form of value. Okay, we will see over here. There are some of the differences and some of the points which convey the differences between value and price. We will not read that because we know such thing very well. Here the points also convey the same meaning. Will you express the relationship of commodity in terms of another? It is the ratio measures the purchasing power of commodity in terms of other commodities. Price on other hand expresses the relationship of commodity in terms of money. So guys, we also have discussed this point already. So we will not look into it. We will move further. We will see consumption. What is consumption? Consumption means to use something. Consumption means to use something. And that's why we are called consumer. Why do we call consumer? Because we buy the product and we consume it. We use them to satisfy our needs. So guys, let's see. We know that the existence of human wants is starting point of all economic activities, and the satisfaction of human wants is the end of all economic activities. Why does all the people work? Why everyone work? To satisfy their needs. I work to satisfy my needs. Someone else work to satisfy his needs. Everyone works. Everyone does the business or the job or the profession or the, we can say, have employment, job, different things. Why do they all do such thing? To satisfy their needs. And for that, each and everyone is doing an economic activity. So we can say human wants is the starting point of all economic activity. If we want to satisfy our needs, we need to do work. So it is a starting point of economic activities. And the satisfaction of human want is the end of economic activity, because once we satisfy our needs, we will stop doing. When the new needs or the wants arises, again we will do the work. So it is ongoing. Now, in ordinary sense, the term consumption means using a thing, but in economics it is used in a special sense. According to Professor Ely, consumption in its broadest sense means the use of economic goods and personal services in the satisfaction of human wants. Whatever the goods and services we use, why do we use? To satisfy our needs, to satisfy our wants. So, in other words, consumption implies on the direct and final use of goods and services in the satisfaction of human wants. So, guys, what is consumption? Consumption means to use the goods and services to satisfy our needs. That is known as consumption. Now we will move further. Here are the example. People consume non-durable goods like food grains, fuel, matches, etc., and also durable goods like furniture, scooter, watches, television sets, clothing, etc. Likewise, the services of doctor, lawyers, teachers, mechanics, etc., are consumed for satisfying human wants. So whenever we use such thing, whether it is a good or whether it is a service, it is known as consumption. Uses of goods and services known as consumption. Now we will move further, guys. Here are some of the classification, or we can say types of the consumption. The one is direct or final consumption, means what? Whatever the thing we use it directly is known as final consumption, or we can say direct consumption. When consumption of an article directly satisfy a human want, it is known as direct or final consumption. For example, food, clothing, furniture, motor car, refrigerator directly satisfy our wants, and therefore their consumption is also known as direct consumption. Now the second thing is indirect or productive consumption. What does it mean? So guys, when the consumption of an article indirectly satisfy human want, that is to say, when it's a consumption does not give a direct satisfaction. Whatever the thing is, when it does not give us direct satisfaction, it is considered as an indirect consumption. Let's see what is that exactly. Thus, here we have the example. Sorry guys. For example, the use of machinery or raw material in a factory is known as indirect or productive consumption, because we cannot use the raw material directly. First of all, we need to wait for the production process. When it is completed and when the final product has been ready, we can use them. So raw material or machines are, uh, we can consume them but indirectly. So this is also known as indirect consumption or the productive consumption. Now the third point is importance of consumptions. What are the importance of the consumptions? First of all, consumption is the starting point of all human activities. We see that the whole world is at work. Every human being is found to be engaged in one or the other economic activity, because he has his wants that need to be satisfied, and for that he has to make efforts. Hence, human wants furnish the initial motivating force of all economic activity. Consumption, therefore, is the beginning of all economic activity. Because if there is no want, if there is no need, then nobody work. Why do we need to do the work? Because we have a need of food, we have a need of clothes, we have need of education, we have a need of hospitality services, we have a need of many things. And that's why everyone works. That's why everyone works, so that he or she can satisfy their needs. So, guys, if there is no consumption, no need to do the production of anything. We need not to do the production. So, consumption is very important, because when there is a consumption, we need to do the production. Now, here is the second point. Consumption is not only the beginning of all economic activities, it is also the end of all economic activities. Consumer wants goods and commodities, and it is to satisfy these wants that these goods and commodities are produced. When we have the demand, when we have the want of something, we need to do the production of that. So the economic activity started. And after the production, when these are consumed, all economic activities which were undertaken to produce goods and commodities come to an end. And when we have produced, after the production of particular goods and services, when we consume them, then all the activities has been undertaken to do the production of such goods and activities will be end. Now the third point, again, the level of economic activity in the country. The level of production, employment, income, saving, and investment depends to a very great extent on the level of consumption. When there is large consumption, there will be large production, and if there is a large production, there will be a larger employment services. So each and everything is connected in the economic activity. So it is also very important to have a good consumption, or we can say a large consumption in a particular country, so that its economy can be developed well. Now, the next one is production. You know it very well. What is production? Production means, if we have the raw material, we have manpower, we have machines, we have land. So it is a raw material. When we process on them, and when we make it in the finished good, which is ready to use directly, can be considered as a production. Now let's see. In ordinary sense, the word production means creating something. But as we have seen earlier, just as man cannot destroy matter, so also he cannot create matters. What he can do is to create its utility and add utility to it. If consumption means extracting utility from the matter, production means putting utility into the matter. So guys, what is production? Production means we are not creating anything new. We just add utility to it. Now guys, what is utility? Utility means service, sorry, we can say satisfaction. If I have a timber, then it might be useless for me, because there is no direct utility in it. But if I make a chair and a table from that timber, then I can utilize them. There is a utility. I can use that particular thing. If I have a wheat flour, if I have a wheat flour, wheat means gehu, go. Flour means ato. So guys, if I have a wheat flour, it might not have any utility. But when I make chapati from that wheat flour, it will give me the utility, it will give me the satisfaction, because I can eat those chapati to overcome my hunger. So guys, this is how the utility can be added to a particular thing. So in the economics, we can say production is not creating anything new. It is just to add utility to an existing thing. Whatever the thing we have, we just need to add the utility to it. So this is what the production says. Here are some of the different classification of production. The one is form utility, the other is place utility, the third is time utility, and the fourth is service utility. So guys, what is form utility? When we change the form of a particular thing, and it can satisfy the human wants directly. We can say it is a firm utility. What are the examples? We will read under it. When utility is created and or added by changing the shape or form of goods, it is known as firm utility. For example, when a carpenter makes a table or chair out of wood, he is to say have created the utility. If I have a cloth, then if I will change the shape, we can say change the shape or the form of that particular thing. If I will weave a shirt, or we can say if I have weave a pant, trouser from that cloth, then it will, I have added the utility to particular cloth, because cloth is not directly usable for me. But if there is a shirt, then I can use it directly. There is a utility in it. Then what do have I done? I have just add the utility to a particular thing. I have changed the shape. I have changed the form. I have changed the look of particular thing to add the utility into it. So guys, this is what the form utility. Form means shape. Now the second thing is place utility. Place utility means if there is a plenty of water, but there are some countries in which there is a scarcity of water, there is no water. There are some countries who have a great amount of petroleum, but there are some countries where there is no petroleum, but scarcity of petroleum. So when we transport a particular goods from the place where there is a plenty of thing to the place where there is a shortage, then we can say it is a place utility. We have to do the transportation from where there is a lot to the place where there is a scarce of that particular thing. So this can be known as place utility. Now we will see time utility. What is time utility? So you have heard the word storages, cold storages, godowns. What do? They just store the things for longer period, and we can use a particular thing in the future also when there is some requirement. If in the present time there is no demand of a particular thing, then I will uh, store this particular thing in a particular say for cold storage. Then I will wait for the demand. When there is a greater demand in the market for a particular thing, I will sell those goods which I have stored in the cold storage. So I can say it is a time utility. I can store the goods, I can wait for some time. When there is a demand, I can sell those goods to the market. So this is called the time utility. Now the fourth point is service utility. What is service utility? Person rendering direct personal services to consumer are said create service utility. Although person like doctor, lawyer, teachers, artists, etc. do not create anything tangible or material, yet their services do give satisfaction to consumers and possesses exchange value. They are therefore said to create service utility. Now, what is service utility? Means doctor, lawyer, they do not give us any tangible thing that we can bring at home. They might give us advices, guidance. So this is called the service utility, because there is no such tangible goods which we can see, touch, or we can bring at home. This is just about the ideas, knowledge, and we can say guidance or the advices. So this is what the service utility is. Now guys, we will move further. Exchange. What is exchange? Exchange is a two-way thing. One to give and to get. It is a two-way thing. Only this can be said as exchange. We will see into it. Exchange is one of the four important economic activity. They are production, exchange, distribution, and consumption. These are the four important economic activity. Among them, Exchange is one of them. Goods produced reach the final stage of consumption through the exchange. If any company do the production of goods and services, it is only because of exchange it reaches to the it reaches to the final consumer. So in the old days when production was simple and mainly self-consumption and not for market and profit, exchange was limited, the economy was self-sufficient. Goods were exchanged for goods. We can say there was a barter system. There was no introduction of money at that time. So people just give their goods to get the other good in return. So in olden days, when there was a barter system, people say for people to get a liter of milk, they need to give some grains to someone. So this kind of things was going on in the past days. But this was also an exchange, we can say. Now we need to exchange the money to get things. What does the exchange means? Exchange means to get thing and to give thing. So we will move further. We will see in it. We will read it. In olden days, when production was simple and mainly self-consumption and not for market and profit, exchange was limited. The economy was self-sufficient, goods were exchanged for goods. For example, rice was given in exchange for cloth. This is known as barter system. However, as the economy become more and more complex with many division of labor and specialization, the barter system gradually paved the way for the exchange with the help of money. Money is used as the medium of exchange. Now we just do the now we just need to give the money to get something. So we need to exchange money to get something in return. So this is what the exchange is. Now guys, we will see the last point. I think this is the last point of a chapter. And what does it mean? I will just briefly explain you it in 10 to 20 seconds. What is firm and what is industry? What is firm and what is industry? Firm is an individual thing. It is individual. Firm means you can take an example of any company. For example, Nokia. For example, Samsung. If we go for the shops, then there is Lux. We can say Hindustan Unilever. So firm is an individual thing, individual party. But what is industry? Industry means there is a group of firms. Industry means there is a group of firms who produce the same thing, who produce the same, or we can say similar things. Means each and every company producing the smartphone can be considered in the industry, smartphone industries. But a company, an individual company, for example, MI, or we can say Nokia, who produces the smartphone is a firm. But such kind of the group of companies means there are a lot of companies, each and every company who produce the smartphone can be considered as a smartphone industry. So industry means a group of firm which produce similar kind of products. We will read in it. Professor Watson defined firm as a unit engaged in production for a sale at a profit and with objective of maximizing the profit, though it can be an individual proprietorship or a partnership or a corporation. The form of organization is a firm is not important in price theory. The firm is personalized in the entrepreneur who exercise the ultimate and decisive control over the activities of the firm. So whether it is a partnership firm, whether it is a corporation, whether it is a company, whether it is a, we can say an individual firm, all such things are considered as a firm. But we may define an industry as a group of firm producing similar product. A group of firm producing similar product. For example, toothpaste, whether it is a Colgate, whether it is a Pepsodent, whether it is a Dabur, whether it is a Patanjali, all the group of firms, when they produce similar kind of product, considered as a industry. So this is what all about firm and industries. And here we are concluding our chapter. If you are left with any queries, any confusion, you can contact me. I will try my best to reply you as soon as possible. And you also need to make a note of your economics so that you can note down some of the important points in it and you can revise the points during the exams. So it will be advisable for you to make a note of the chapters that will be discussed by me. Okay, guys, that's it for today. We will do it the next chapter in the next lecture very soon. Thank you, guys.